Hello everyone and welcome to the finale of Tier 2 Season 15. We are here at a fantastic circuit, Interlagos in Brazil, for this season finale where we have the Drivers' Championship well and truly on the line, and the Constructors' Championship, well, Ferrari would need to have a disaster to lose it, but it's still possible. But it's our last race on F124 in Tier 2. So we're about to get started for qualifying for it. It's going to be Jammy Dodger who's going to be first up. I know Gary is ahead of him, but I've followed Gary for his first lap enough times this season. So we'll go with Jammy Dodger instead this time. He heads through turns 1, 2 and 3. Tricky centre S's. And now down towards turn 4. You've got to fully commit into this corner. And the VCARB driver a little bit hesitant, I think, on the throttle on the exit. Might get more confident as the session progresses. Up the hill towards turn 5 and 6. Tricky corners there. You've got to commit for those. I think this circuit's all about committal for those medium to high speed corners, really, as Jammy Dodger now through the slow section of the circuit, very wide at turn 9. He won't be happy with that. Avenir's out. Avenir's binned it already, so he is out of qualifying. Not the way he would have wanted his last qualifying session on F124 to go, but Jammy Dodger pretty much nails that final braking zone and final corner. I'm going to call it the final corner. I know it technically isn't, but I'm going to keep calling it the final corner. Jammy Dodger then to the line for a 1minute 8.261 to get us started. Tia is going to be next up, and he beats it. 1 minute 8.0 for the British driver, who was a 1-2 with his teammate a couple of weeks ago in Portugal. Jonathan, Season 8 champion, goes to Season 9 champion, excuse me, goes to P1 with a 7.8, the first one to get into the 1 minute 7s. Enchiladad, one of the two fighting for the title this season. He trying to defend his title from last season. He's 8 points behind Extract going into this race, and he needs to win it. I mean, technically he doesn't, but realistically he does really need to win this race, does the Irishman, if he wants any chance at winning this title. Extract currently sitting still in the pits, but Enchiladad, if he wins and Extract comes 4th, then Enchilada will win the title on countback, but he'll want to do better than that. He'll want Extract to be further down. He'll want to be more secure, but Extract, of course, he just has to finish on the podium and he will secure the title. Jonathan's lap looking very, very strong so far. Cavalis getting up to P3 just behind Tia, but no one within 2/10 of the Red Bull's time so far, and around here, that is a monumental gap. It really, really is. A 10th around here is similar to 3/10 on most other tracks. As Jackalacco now into the final corner he goes in his Aston Martin. Was vying for the title at one point this season, but it all went to pot in Portugal, where he had an unfortunate mechanical issue as he goes to P10. A long way back is the Scottish driver for now. Alex G in the middle sector. Extract still in the pits as Denko begins his first run. Triku on his outlap as well, so we'll stay on board with Alex G, but I think he is backed well off of this lap. So that's the first wave of laps done, and it's Jonathan back from a long hiatus, but he is back with a vengeance to take an emphatic provisional. Avenir is saying his brake pedal fell off, so he needs to fix it with a screwdriver. Well, you've got 12.5 minutes to do it, Avenir. So, best of luck. Alex G then coming to the end of his first run, but obviously backed off of this one. So he's going to try going again. He's already into non-ERS mode. Did he already back off? No, he's using it again. So he's just trying to save it because he used a lot of it on the run to the line. He's not got a lot left at all. But 17.7 through Sector 1 is a 10th slower than his previous effort. So he won't be particularly happy with that, with the Ukrainian. As Denko is coming to the end of his lap, meanwhile, in the Mercedes. Mercedes need a miracle to win the Constructors from here. But Denko is looking to make that miracle happen, but he's only 9th place for now in the Mercedes, some 5.5 tenths down on current provisional pole, but only 3 tenths down on 3rd place. So very close out there, as it always is around this circuit. Triku Bidyak finally got his first pole position of his APP career last week in Abu Dhabi. The rest of the race, unfortunately, didn't go to plan for him at all, but he'll still be raring to go for this final round to make amends for that as he heads into the final sector and all the way to the line. He's already out of ERS, so that's going to cost him quite a bit of straight line speed down towards the line, but it's looking very good. It's an 8.0, gets him to P2, but it's still not within 2 tenths of Jonathan's lap time, which is looking stronger and stronger as more minutes tick by. Tier with his second run at the moment, he's up on his previous best in the first sector. A few others on laps as well elsewhere on the field. You got Scott at the moment as well in his Aston Martin, currently P6. He'll be decently happy with that so far. Well in front of his teammate Jamie Dodger as well. Jamie's lap looked pretty scrappy, I have to say, his first opening lap. So I think there's time to gain for the VCARB driver, the reserve for today. Scott coming to the line now. What's it going to be for him in his second run? It's P2, and finally someone gets within 2 tenths of Jonathan. It's a 1 minute 7 point, or 1 minute 8.0 rather, from Scott. And onto the front row he goes, but I'm sure the times are going to start tumbling down soon. Tier was not able to improve. Well, he did, but by 0.006 of a second. Didn't gain him any positions. So it's down to his teammate, Enchiladad. Extract still in the pits, by the way. So whether he's saving a set of softs or I don't know what's happening with the Norwegian, but he usually does this in qualifying. He just sits in the pits for a while. So it's anyone's best guess as to why he does this, but this is what he usually does. So it's nothing new. As Ench is only 0.5 tenth up in the middle sector, and he's extremely wide at the final corner. And the Irishman in trouble here. He is down in 8th place. He needs to win this race. He really, really has to win this race if he wants to win the title. But from 8th place, it's going to be very, very difficult. He needs to find some improvements, especially when Sumo is going up by 2 tenths in the first sector alone. So plenty more to come. Gary up to P7 as well in the meantime. I think JB is coming to the end of his lap, but he's not up on his time. Kurt coming through. Alex G just starting a lap. Extract finally on track, so we'll get to see what he's capable of in this session. As Sumo now heads into the last part of the final sector. The slow turn 9 followed by the full throttle turn 10, and he is 2.5 tenths up. So Sumo threatening the front row here as he nails the final corner, and he's going to use all of the ERS he's got left all the way to the line. I think he's used it a bit early there. I would have held off a bit if I was him and just gone into hot lap, and it has cost him a little bit down the straight, I believe, but he is up to P3. And he's well in the mix now as well. Jonathan is improving again in the first sector. And, well, the Season 9 champ, if he stops Ench from winning this race and just completely dominates, it's going to be a little controversial, especially if Ench comes second and Jonathan just dominates the race. But he is looking mighty quick right now on this tier 2 grid. He's 2 tenths up, and the Irishman is about to take an emphatic provisional pole. Extrac in sector 1 at the moment, meanwhile, 17.4 is pretty quick though in that first sector, so he's well in the mix. But Jonathan is about to blow everyone out the water, a 1 minute 7.6, but Cavalis gets within a couple tenths again. 7.8 from Cavalis would have been, I think, just about. It's not quite over yet, but Jonathan does look a class above the rest of the field at the moment. Sumo's into the pit lane. As Denko comes through the first sector. Gary up to P3. Great lap from the Sauber driver. As Denko not currently up on his previous best. Let's watch Extrek then. As he heads through the last corner and down towards the line, Daka saying 7.6, probably decent on the Tier 1 grid, and he's probably not wrong, as Extrek goes to 6th place with an 8.0. Very strong lap from the Norwegian, but it's so close between all those midfield drivers at the moment. Enchiladadad desperately needs a lap, and he's about to start one. 6 minutes to go in the session, and the Irishman under heavy pressure. And also lagging through the first few corners, which isn't a good sign. He did disconnect last week, and it cost him quite a bit because he couldn't pit under the safety car. He got back in, but had to nurse it home to P4. But Ench with a lot to do here, and he's only half a tenth up in the first sector. So can Ench find some time here in this session and get himself further up the grid? Because at the moment he's in a really bad spot. JB as well, down in 13th, is a big surprise. He was second place in qualifying 3 seasons ago on this track. So it's difficult. It's unexpected to see him this far down. What about Enchilada though? Through the last part of sector 2, he's 2.5 tenths up. This is a lot better from Enchiladadad. He could see himself all the way up to P4 here with just a 2.5 tenths improvement. That is how close everyone is here. DRS open for the Irishman. The defending champion gets it into 4th place. He does get there. Much better from Ench. He was struggling for quite a bit in this session, but he's finally woken up, and his teammate wakes up with him. Tier up to P6 as Scott currently on a lap. I think, no, he's backed off of this one, or it's an in lap either way. JB not able to complete that lap, or I think he was actually, but he didn't improve by that much. He's still down in 13th. Kurt a long way down as well. He's a 10th up, but he needs a lot more time to get himself further than 14th. Alex G currently the only one not ahead of the VCARB driver. But yeah, that lap from Enchiladadad has really probably boosted his confidence somewhat, I would say. But remember, he has to win this race, realistically. He would need Extrek to finish. Let me grab my little permutations before I make a silly comment. He would need Extrek to finish down in 10th. Down in 9th for him to be able to win the championship without winning the race. Technically 8th, but he would need the fastest lap as well with as P2. So, realistically, he probably needs to win this one, because I don't see Extrek finishing that low in this race unless he DNFs, and, well, that would be a bit of an anticlimax. Although Ench would still need to finish in the top 8, and if he's having a bad race, that might not be a given either. But we will see how it goes. Kurt, unable to improve on that attempt, very wide at turn 1, and invalidates straight away at turn 2 as well. Not the ideal start to the lap for him, but his teammate, meanwhile, getting a very nice slipstream down towards turn 4. And Jamie Dodger half a tenth up as a result, but gets 2 wheels on the grass down to turn 4. That's going to cost him quite a bit of time, I would imagine. We'll see if he can nail the rest of the sector. Sumo's on a lap as well. Not many cars out on track. 2.5 minutes to go in the session. It's going to be a real traffic jam at the end of this qualifying session. The last one of this game in Tier 2. And Jamie Dodger is going to be what looks like the last person to set a lap, unless he goes for another cooldown lap. The soft tyres, I don't know if they'll last that long. That's the only thing. He's 1.5 tenths down, so it's not going to be an improvement here for Jamie Dodger unless he absolutely nailed that final corner and has more ERS to use. Down towards the line he goes, and it's no improvement. He stays in 11th. And Jamie Dodger has been a name that we've seen towards the front of Tier 2 when he has been reserving occasionally. But today seems a bit more in the midfield. But of course, the gaps are so close here in Brazil that it sometimes qualifying doesn't really show just how fast you are going to be, but especially on this circuit. I think it's fair to say that Jonathan is the fastest out there. 2/10 gap to anyone else is just ridiculous on this circuit. Sumo, though, invalidated his previous effort, but goes purple in Sector 1, 18 thousandths up for the Haas driver. 1 minute to go in the session, and the last few laps are going to come in very, very shortly. We'll keep riding on board with Sumo. I'm not sure anyone else is on a lap ahead of him right now. Maybe Scott is, well, certainly not Jacko. He's yellow flagged in the middle sector. But we'll stay on board with Sumo. I think it's going to be him next as he comes through Sector 2. What's it going to be at the line? We're about to find out, coming through turn 10, and he's half a tenth down, so nothing for Sumo on this occasion unless he absolutely nails this. And he's going to use all his ERS again, all the way down to the line, but he's already out and derating, and he's into the pits. No improvements for Sumo. He is going to be 7th at best. Xtrek invalidates. He's got 24 seconds to get across the line. It's going to be close, but he will just about make it. 18, 17, yeah, he'll have about 10 seconds to spare. Less than that, actually. It'll be more 9, 8, 7, 6 seconds to spare for Xtrek, so he's going to get one more attempt here. He's still down in P8 at the moment. Enchilada is improving by a tenth in the middle sector. Can he get himself further up the grid and maybe onto that second row? JB, huge lap from the McLaren right at the end to get himself to P3. Tier up to P3 as well. What can the Irishman do? Defending champion is only 5th. He's 3 thousandths off of the McLaren. Scott into second place. Is Jonathan improving? No, he's well down, so it's all on everyone else. Cavalis has been looking very quick in this qualifying session so far. What can he do in his Williams? I wonder. It's through the second sector. He's only half a tenth up. It's not looking like enough, but it could be enough to bump Enchilada down a place. Where's Xtrek? He's in the middle sector at the moment. We'll look at Cavalis. What's he going to do across the line? Can he bump Enchilada down to 6th? It looks like it. Can he get this final corner? Oh no, he messed it up at the final corner. Cavalis stays 6th. What can Xtrek do? He's well down in the middle sector. It's looking like he's going to be down in 10th here. And he is into the pits. It's 10th place for Xtrek in qualifying. Enchilada up in 5th. And wow, that is a big shock to see Xtrek that far down. Scott not on a lap. And that is that for this qualifying session then. Jonathan on his return to Tier 2 after a long hiatus is back to pole position straight away. Just a tenth ahead of Scott, who'll be fuming that he's lost pole position to a reserve. But it's still a great job from the British driver in the Aston Martin. His teammate down in 13th. But look at those gaps, how close it has been. And this race is going to be mighty close indeed. JB P4 as well at the end. Tier, great lap to out-qualify his teammate here in Brazil. But Enchilada P5 and Xtrek P10 is big, big news. Ench still realistically needs to win this race, but Xtrek has got more work to do than I think he would have hoped for, and he's actually been out-qualified by Denko. I don't know how many times that's happened this season, but it can't have been many. So Denko will be secretly quite pleased with that, I imagine. The Ferrari's in a good spot to secure the Constructors at the moment, but of course it's a long race. Anything can happen here in Brazil. I don't know what the weather's going to be like either. It's all to play for. Well, not to tempt fate, but that sky is looking very grey indeed. Yes, thank you, Daka. It is indeed. It's time. The last race for Tier 2 on F124. Championship on the line. Extract down in 10th in quali, and that is the danger zone, really. We're about to find out what's going to happen, though. It's 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's a drive-through for Jonathan and Tier. They both jumped the start. So Scott is going to be the net lead of this race. Enchilada around the outside of Cavalis into turns 1 and 2. He's lagging all over the place, is the Irishman. But Cavalis gets his way through. Ench down to P6. Extract stays in 9th for now. But it's a horrible jump start for Tier and Jonathan early on in this race. Enchilada gets back past Cavalis into turn 4, so he's up to 5th place. Extract past his teammate, perhaps team orders there early on, but he's up to 8th place already. We'll get all this stuff enabled on the screen. Position changes to start with, though, and it's Tier, of course, up 1, but he's got that drive through to serve. Extract up 2 already. Triku up 1. Sumo down 3. Horrible start for the Haas driver, but Enchilada holds firm in P5 after losing it briefly to the Williams of Cavalis, but he is there or thereabouts. He does still need to win this race, you have to think. Jonathan and Tier will surely be in for their drive-throughs straight away. No, Tier stays out for another lap, but Jonathan does come in to serve it. DRS is enabled, but Scott setting the fastest lap. JB putting him under pressure, and Enchilada is there. He's in the lead group. He's doing what he has to do. Extract, though, it's only 3 cars behind him, and it's a big mistake. Huge mistake from Enchilada, Dad. The pressure is on for the defending champion, and he can't handle it. He's into the grass. He's down 2 positions back behind both Mercedes. Denko all over the place in the exit of turn 4. Enchilada's lagging all over the place as well. But Denko is now going to do his best to hold up the Ferrari driver, I am sure, because he is going to be trying to play the best Perez that he can for his teammate and help Extract to secure this driver's title. As it stands, he would take it, but there's carnage up ahead. Cavalis, I think, lost a bunch of his front wing there. I'm not quite sure what happened, but Gary and Cavalis both with damage. Did Extract get damage as well? No, he didn't. He's still got his entire front wing intact, so he's just about managed to survive that. As he goes down the inside of the Williams driver, down towards turn 1. The Norwegian is going for it. He started P10. He's up to 3rd place already on lap 3. Gary trying to hold around the outside, but that wing damage, it makes it so difficult. Extract sweeps around turn 2, and he is up to 3rd place. Tier serves his drive through, but it's been a perfect few laps for Extract from 10th on the grid. It was looking like he would be in a lot of trouble, in the danger zone, as it were, in terms of incidents at Brazil, but he's filed his way through the rest of the pack, and he's already up into the top 3. Both cars behind him have damage. Actually, not both anymore, because Denko is past the Sauber driver. And look what's happened, by the way. The constructors might not be done yet. Tier with a drive-through. Enchilada down to 7th after a big mistake at turn 4. On turn 3, rather. And the Mercedes now are 3rd and 5th, while the Ferrari 7th and 15th. I still don't think that's enough for Mercedes to snatch the title off of them, but it's a good start for the Mercedes Giro. Denko up to 5th, Extract up to 3rd, and Extract trying to hold on to the top 2 of Scott and JB, who aren't going to give a toss about the Drivers' Championship. They both want to win this race, I'm sure. Neither of them have had a win this season. Sumo squeezed out there at turn 2. I don't think he had any right to space, though. I'm not sure he was close enough or far enough alongside to earn that room, and Jamie Dodger showed him the door. But Triku now ahead of Enchilada, Dad, who's trying to hang on, but Triku is struggling himself. JB's back into the lead now with Scott down to 2nd place. A move down to turn 4 is what did it, and now Extract is well and truly with them. 4 tenths is the gap. but he's going to be under pressure from Cavalis. He would have loved to have his teammate behind him at this stage as a buffer to all the cars further back, but it's Cavalis, and we know how aggressive and opportunistic this man can be. The Lithuanian in the Williams, he's been improving so much this season, and today he is going to try and beat the two-time champion in this race. He's just behind at the moment though, and he's sticking there, but Extrek is going to be wary. He'll probably know that Cavalis is not going to be willing to stay behind him just because Extrek is in a championship battle. Quite the opposite, I'm sure. So he's in a bit of danger here, Extrek, but at the moment he's just keeping it calm. Bit of a mistake from JB at the front there, bringing everyone closer together again. But everyone's still following along nicely, behaving at the moment on the circuit. But it's Enchilada Dad down in 8th place. He needs to get a move on. He desperately needs to make moves in this race and get his way towards the front. That mistake at turn 3, oh, so costly for the Irishman. And it's given him a lot more work to do than he would have liked. Onto lap 6 already. The sky's still looking grey and cloudy. I do wonder if it's going to rain at some point. It's a change for the lead. Is Extrek going to follow on though? It's going to be 3 wide perhaps into turn 1, but Extrek looks to get 2 in 1 and get into the lead of this one. He can't quite do it though. He's up to P2 past JB, but Scott continues to lead this race. And let's have a quick look at tyres. It is softs for Extrek. He did save the set in qualifying, remember. JB under pressure from Cavalis, who now sends it to the inside. JB breaks late, but he can't hold it around the outside there. And now Cavalis trying to go on the inside of Extrek as well. Those medium tyres working well for the Williams driver, but he's surely got to yield up the hill, and does. And Extrek keeps P2, but he's once again got the Williams behind him. And JB falls down to 4th place for now, under pressure from the other Mercedes of Denko. It's another mistake for Enchilada Dad though, meanwhile. And the Irishman, the defending champion, it is all falling apart in this final race of the season. And the Drivers' Championship is looking like, at the moment, there's still a long way to go in this race, but at the moment, it's hard to bet against Extrek. He's up to P2, his main rival down in 12th and making mistakes all over the shop. Cavalis now putting the Mercedes under pressure though. This is Enchilada's last hope really, if Cavalis can cause some trouble and the other cars that are around the Mercedes of Extrek. But Sumo finally getting past Jammy Dodger, who we had a small incident with early on, and Enchilada into the pits as JB down to 5th place and Extrek down to 3rd. Cavalis makes, and the Lithuanian driver, who is yet to score a podium this season, somehow looks like he might have his shot today. Sumo down to P11th. He's made a big mistake at turn 4. Maybe there was contact, I don't know, but either way he's gone round and he's a long way behind the rest of the pack now, as Scott continues to lead this one, but he's got a different car behind him now. Cavalis, someone who's much hungrier, much less willing to just be safe and stick behind him as Extrek is. Of course, the championship, the only thing that matters for the Norwegian, but Cavalis, he wants a podium. He wants better than that. He wants to win this race. He wants to finally get his first podium in APP at the very last hurdle in F1 24. But he might do better than that. He's into the lead. Cavalis leads the Brazilian Grand Prix now. We've got our 5th new leader of the race, and it's lap 8. So a lot has been going on already. Tyr and Jonathan, meanwhile, only 6 seconds behind the rest of the drivers. Sumo into the pits for fresh tyres. And by the way, there's no damage to Cavalis, but there is still damage to Gary. I think, was it Triku and Gary who got damage? I thought it was Cavalis who got damage. No, I guess Cavalis didn't get damage, so only Gary actually with the damage, but he's managing to hold on to the DRS of the front 5, so he's doing a decent job in that Sauber at the moment. But yeah, I do wonder what happened in that incident. I didn't quite catch the start of it, so It's difficult to say, really, but Enchilada onto the hard tyres now, 9 seconds back from Avenir. Sumo onto the hards as well. Early undercut for him too, but we'll see how well that goes for them as the race goes on. Those softs now are going to start to feel the pain as Scott retakes the lead from the Williams driver of Cavalis. Gets his way into first place. Simple move that was, but Cavalis might be back at him on the run to turn 4. He's using overtake. He wants this position back, but he's going to yield in the end. Scott defends to the inside, but Cavalis didn't have any intention of sending it in the end. Up the hill, he is very close to the back of that Aston Martin. Look at this. He has to back off before the corner to not hit the back of the Aston Martin. Such was his overspeed. As Tier and Jonathan now battling through turn 4. The two drivers who've got to drive through in this race already catching up to the rest of the pack. They've got a huge amount of pace, these two. It's whether they can unleash it and get their way further back up the grid to where they feel they will belong. I'm sure it was Jonathan who jumped the start first, and then Tier instinctively followed him. So there's a bit of a score to settle there as well between the two. But we're heading on to lap 10. Double figures of laps already in this Brazilian Grand Prix. The final race of Tier 2 for F1 24. Scott still leads. Cavalis yields before turn 1 as Gary comes into the pits, but gets a 10-second penalty for speeding. So that is going to make his race even more difficult. He's going to replace his front wing. No, he's not actually. No replacing of the front wing. He keeps it on. But that 10-second penalty is going to be very costly, I would imagine. Enchilada down towards turn 1. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near them, you know. They're just coming out the pits now. Look on the left-hand side of your screen. See if you can see them come out. There they are. Enchilada is well behind, 1.5 seconds. And the Irishman, he's just struggling. He just cannot get to grips with this circuit at the moment. Maybe it's the lag. Maybe it's a lack of confidence. Maybe it's the pressure. Who knows? But all we can talk about is what we're seeing on screen. And what we're seeing is bad news for Enchilada. He has got himself back into DRS of those two ahead, but he's still in quite a rough spot right now. Just doesn't seem to have any confidence in that car whatsoever. Meanwhile, Cavalis continues to lead. Scott staying behind on this occasion, as are the two Mercedes. I'm going to try and get a quick update for you on the constructors' standings. So Ferrari went into this 26 points ahead of the Mercedes. So X-Trek at the moment getting 14 points and Denko getting 12. So they are getting 26, but they would still need both Ferraris to DNF at this stage. Well, that's not happening at the moment. Tier's looking very quick as well. So they are going to need a bit more fortune at the Mercedes, and they'll probably need a 1-2 as well. But it's still very much possible. They're both in the lead train. They're both driving very well indeed. Sumo has retired from the session. He's out at turn 2 of the final race in F1 24, and he'll be gutted with that. I don't know if he crashed or if he's retired on track. I think he crashed because that dot was not moving. So disaster for Sumo. He is out of this Grand Prix, and it will be no points for him, and Lawrence will be doubly disappointed that he didn't make it to this race, because he could well have beaten Sumo in the championship standings given that crash from the Haas driver. Trigger into the pits. That's an early stop. Wants to get the undercut. Is it going to be mediums though, or is it going to be hards? That's the question. It's hard tyres, white-walled for the Williams driver. So how badly is he going to get undercut by these other guys though? JB coming into turn 1 right now, and Triku coming out the pit lane. There he is. He's going to be right behind the train, but he's going to be part of it, I think, crucially. He's just coming out the pits now, gets a good exit. It's going to be close. I think he's just outside DRS range. He is, 1.4. But if he can catch back up through these next few corners, he should be able to get himself back in this battle. Cavalis still leads. Meanwhile, Ash is gutted for Sumo in the chat. We all are, Ash. We all are. But he's had a bit of a nightmare finale, unfortunately. And it will be no points to end the season. But Cavalis heading to turn 1, still under no threat from Scott, not pushing the Aston Martin. He just is happy to stick behind. He knows he's in a good position. He doesn't want to make a silly move and ruin everything here. X-Trek, meanwhile, was struggling, by the way. He was 9/10 behind as Scott goes for it, though. I'm going to eat my words straight away. As he goes from the inside of turn 4, he gets the move done, and Scott is back into the lead of this race. Enchilada sets the fastest lap, meanwhile, in the Ferrari, so it's not quite over yet. He's still pushing. Is the Irishman. He might have gotten back control of his nerves, back control of the car, as Alex G gets sent to the cleaners by Tia around the outside of turn 4. That was quite remarkable from the Ferrari driver. He's up to P7, and Tia and Jonathan look mighty quick in this race at the moment. There is a time penalty to the Ferrari driver that he'll have to contend with. I think that's for track limits, it is. But he's still looking like a bit of a juggernaut out there as well as Jonathan. They're only 7.5 seconds behind Jammy Dodger, 10 seconds behind the rest of the pack as X-Trek comes in for a stop. Is it going to be hard tyres or mediums for the Norwegian? Cavalis retakes the lead meanwhile, but we've got to keep an eye on X-Trek. What tyres is he going for? It's mediums to the end for X-Trek. He thinks they will make it. I agree, to be honest, but they will be tricky towards the end of this stint, but they'll definitely go the distance. He's going to exit the pits, and he's going to be well clear by the looks of it of JB, who's just coming through turns 1 and 2. He got past Enchilada into turn 1. Where is X-Trek? He's just in front of them. Here comes JB. There's the Mercedes. Can JB get him down towards turn 4? He's going to lift off. What on earth just happened there? Enchilada makes the move. I think JB was maybe scared of the lag of the Ferrari and just let him go, but I'm not sure Enchilada was expecting him to do that. But it's the Ferrari up to P10 now, 1.1 seconds behind X-Trek. Can he get in DRS range of his championship rival and put him under pressure? 1.08. He is on the worst tyres, though. That is Ench's problem. He would have wanted to be well in DRS range, so he would avoid this issue. But Scott gets ahead of Cavalis. Jammy Dodgy gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane meanwhile, but Scott back into the lead. Enchilada's 1.1 behind X-Trek. He's too far behind. It's no DRS for the Irishman. Hello to Luppiz in the chat, as we've got 3 more pit stops happening. Jammy Dodger, Tia and Gary all coming in, as X-Trek now 1.3 ahead of Ench and pulling away slowly but surely. Enchilada giving it absolutely everything to try and stay with the Mercedes, but he just cannot do it. Those fresh mediums too strong at this point, and I think Enchilada here is going to be hoping for a safety car, I think, in this race. At the moment, X-Trek looks to have this championship wrapped up. I know it's still, we're not even halfway through this race, but who knows? Avenir gets himself a time penalty meanwhile, down in 12th place. But yeah, X-Trek looking pretty supreme at the moment. He's in a wonderful position. He's ahead of his rival. He's on fresh tyres. He's on much better tyres. Ench is giving it everything. He's trying to stay with him, but the tyre difference just a little bit too much perhaps. Somehow the gap is staying at 1.2. I'm not quite sure how, as Jonathan and Cavalis both come into the pit lane, and Cavalis is particularly the main one to focus on here. He's going to put on a set of hard tyres to the end, but where's he going to be in relation to everyone else? X-Trek coming through turns 1, 2 and 3. I think he's going to be ahead of the Williams. He is indeed. He's well ahead, and X-Trek has gotten this absolutely perfect with the undercut. He is well ahead of the train. Cavalis is now caught in it. Gary sweeps around his outside for turn 4. Cavalis brakes late to try and get the place and does so. I don't know if he knew Gary had damage, but that was a risky move from Cavalis. It paid off in the end, and he's up to 7th place. Scott, Denko and Alex G, the only ones still yet to pit in this race, as well as Avenir actually, further back down the grid. But Scott just about keeping Denko at bay, but the Mercedes driver doing well to stay in DRS as Scott comes into the pits. So Denko, IGP Brazilian Grand Prix on lap 17. He is yet to stop, and I don't know if he's going to go long in this one or if he's going to come in for the hards like Scott has. But either way, he is in the lead and he'll be happy to be. Extrek sets the fastest lap out in front. He's got DRS from Alex G. Scott's coming out the pits. He's going to be way behind the Mercedes driver, and he's going to be about where Cavalis was as they come out the pit lane. Yeah, there goes the Williams. They're going to be basically side by side as Scott comes out, but he's just behind and slots in very nicely as JB retakes P4 for now. But Extract 2.3 ahead. He's being held up by Alex G though through Sector 2. The Haas driver definitely knows what he's doing here. He's trying to cost Extract a chance to pull away here, but Alex gets sent to the inside into turn 7, sorry, and Extract gets that place through the rest of the middle sector, but he's lost a ton of time behind the Haas, and Alex G is going to try and probably to get back past him down towards turn 1. Denko into the pits from the lead, so it's going to be Extract now who leads the Brazilian Grand Prix from 10th on the grid, just halfway through this race. But here comes Alex with the DRS. He's using everything he's got, but he's got no ERS left in the tank. He's surely not close enough. Is he going to send it? No, he stays behind. Ench and JB side by side meanwhile, as Ench stays ahead as well. But Denko is going to come out just at the back of this train, about with Triku on the exit here. There he goes. So Denko in this train as well. We've got 3 wide further ahead though. JB gets ahead. Cavalis tries to go down the inside of the defending champion and gets him. Enchilada has to yield in the end and loses the place to Scott as well. And it's Ench down to P6, Scott up to 5th, and Cavalis up to 4th on fresher hard tyres than JB just ahead. Alex G is going to get a little bit in the way here. He might help JB if the McLaren gets DRS off him. I think that is what's going to happen, so that will frustrate Cavalis here. But he's looking very quick in that Williams at the moment, and you have to think it's only a matter of time. JB on 8-lap-old hards. Those hards will go a long way, but still the 6 laps difference is already going to be coming into play. Alex, is he going to dive into the pits? He is indeed. So Extract leads by 2.5 seconds now as JB is in P2, holding off Cavalis, who doesn't go for the move into turn 1. McLaren had DRS. There was no point in going for it there. And Gary, meanwhile, getting himself a track limits penalty as well. Enchilada still in this train, still with chances as Cavalis takes P2 from JB down towards turn 4, gets that move done. And with how quick this Williams has been so far today, you wouldn't bet against him starting to close that gap to Extract, because although he's a long way ahead right now, this is only because of the undercut and going on to those fresh mediums. In reality, in this race, Extract hasn't looked like the fastest driver. He's certainly been one of the fastest, but he hasn't looked like the fastest car out there. And he might come under pressure here if Cavalis can close down that gap. And of course, those medium tyres are only going to start getting worse as the race goes on. So it's not quite over yet. It's not quite over yet. Rick thinks it's GG in the chat. I think it's too soon. It's far from over at this point as Gary comes into the pits, presumably to change his front wing, but I'm not sure why he comes in now. Denko around the outside of Triku for P7. Gets that move done. Probably got a warning there at turn 2. Well over the white lines, I think. But he's up into 7th place. Tia and Jonathan 10 seconds behind this train. They've been battling all race long, but I think this might be where their progress ends here after that drive through earlier on. Tia down the inside of Jonathan and gets back past him into turn 4, but they have swapped places quite a few times in this race. I've no idea what that typo was, Kevin, in the chat. I don't know what storekeeper was supposed to be. But anyway, Cavalis, look at this. He's already 1.0 seconds clear of Scott. And unless Scott nails this final corner here, he's going to lose the DRS. Here's the detection point right here. He's just about got it. Does the Aston Martin, I think, does that rear wing open? No, it doesn't. He was just about, he missed out actually, Scott. So Cavalis is pulling away. 1.9 seconds to Extrek. But Enchilada will be hoping that Scott can stay with him, because otherwise it's just going to be a duel for the win between Extrek and Cavalis, rather than Extrek being brought into this train like Enchilada would have hoped for. But it's still far from over, this championship. I really think so. There's still plenty of chances. Extrek's tyres aren't going to last forever, and Cavalis is hunting him down. If they start battling, the rest of the grid might be able to catch up as well. Jonathan and Tia swap again, but it's all about this battling for the win in this race. Extrek leading by 1.8, but that gap slowly coming down. 1.7 now for Cavalis. He is flying on those hard tyres. He absolutely loves this track, clearly, Cavalis. And at the moment, he looks like easily the fastest driver out there. And to be honest, he's looked at all race. He's been phenomenal so far. There's a long way to go. 15 laps to go as Extrek takes us on to lap 22. He's in the driving seat at the moment. As it stands, he would comfortably win the driver's title as Denko wants to give himself a chance to get Mercedes, the constructors, in the meantime. Goes down the inside of Jammy Dodger into turn 1, but has to yield through turns 2 and 3. And Jammy Dodger back ahead, but Denko is out there to race today. He's not had a good season by his standards, but he's having a good race so far. I don't want to jinx him too much, but he's certainly got some very good pace in that Mercedes. And if Enchilada crashes, if something bad happens to Tia, this Constructors' Championship is still very much on, I would say. It's still going to take a miracle for the Mercedes, don't get me wrong, but it's far from over as Cavalis now, talking far from over, 1.3 behind Extrek. He is closing him down so fast. That was 4 tenths he took out of him on that previous lap. Scott is just about hanging within 1.5, but that gap's increasing as well. Good evening to Lawrence. Sumo crashed at turn 2, so he is out of this race. Was our first retirement as Denko goes for it again on Jammy Dodger. Second attempt for the Greek driver, but again he's fended off by Jammy Dodger. It's a great defense from the VCARB. Noob, says Finley in the chat, presumably referring to Sumo, our Tier 1 and Elite champion, getting in on the action here in Tier 2 in the chat as well. Nice to see you, Finley. But meanwhile, Cavalis 1.3 behind Extrek. Jammy Dodger putting up a fantastic defense against Denko for now, but the Mercedes driver looking really quick right now. Triku in the background as well. Don't count him out. But Cavalis, can he get within 1.2? He's not had such a good lap this time around, the Williams driver, but he is within 1.2 out of turn 9 there. And now 1.1. He's nearly there, almost into DRS range. He's 45% ERS or so. Extrek has about 70, so he's got the ERS advantage, but it doesn't really matter because Cavalis is absolutely flying on these tyres. The mediums, like Kevin says in the chat, are going to fall off later on. They're not going to last forever. And Extrek went for the aggressive strategy. He saved a set of softs in quali. It cost him quite a few grid positions, because you would imagine he would do better if he had a third run than P10 on the grid. But it didn't matter. First few laps, he got himself all the way up into the podium places straight away, and now leads this race. But Cavalis is hunting him down at a rate of knots. Scott is just nowhere near the pace of those front two, and it doesn't look like the rest of the drivers behind him are either. So Enchilada needs to hope for something to happen here between Cavalis and Extrek. Cavalis here is the last hope for Enchilada Dad at the moment. Of course, we could still get a safety car, but right now there is no bigger threat to Extrek than this man right here in the Williams. A man who hasn't had a podium yet in APP. He's missed out so many times. He's had about 5 fourth places this season. And been so close so many times. Can Denko finally get this move done on the VCARB? He can. It's a great move from the Greek driver. and he's up into the top 6. Enchilada next on his list, and I'm sure he'll be gunning for him as well. He knows how important it could be in the Constructors title fight. Jammy Dodger sits behind down towards turn 4. Denko into P6 cleanly. He does get a little bit out of sorts on the exit there, but Jammy Dodger not close enough to take advantage. And Denko is up into 6th place. Cavalis has dropped off a bit on this lap. He's had a poor lap, has the Lithuanian. I think as that gap starts coming closer and closer to 1.1 seconds, it starts getting more and more difficult to keep the focus and to keep the pace going. But 1.4 seconds is the gap now, and Scott's been able to close up as well as all that as well. I think it must have probably been a mistake from Cavalis. Although he lost a 10th there at the final corner as well. So Extract pushing right now. Cavalis struggling on this previous lap. But is it going to be a trend or just a trend or just a one-off on that previous lap, I wonder? Sumo insistent that Jammy Dodger took him out. I'm sure the stewards will have a look at that. But Scott now within 1.0 seconds of Cavalis. He's nearly back in DRS range. Cavalis back up to 1.4 though, and drops Scott by a couple tenths through turn 4. So he is still pushing hard. I think might be just have been a blip that previous lap, but we'll see as they go through the middle sector. The hards, of course, are going to go easily the distance. I'm surprised Extract's still doing well in the middle part of the circuit with these tyres, because that's where you would feel he'd have the most disadvantage for grip on the exits. But Cavalis now 1.1, so he's caught back up on that previous lap. 2 tyres on the grass though is going to cause him problems into the final corner, and it has done. He lost a couple tenths from that as well, so he's just... The mistakes start to creep in as the DRS gets closer and closer. I know that feeling all too well. So Cavalis has just got to keep his cool here, because he is faster than the Mercedes. He's just got to stay consistent, and he will catch up as Denko makes another move. He's now into the top 5 and continuing to go forward in this race. Enchilada under pressure from Jammy Dodger now. He's down to P7, is the defending champion. And he really needs something to happen to Extract now. There's not a long time to go in this race. We're already well over 2/3 of the way through. And there's only 10 laps to go, including this one. Cavalis, 1.5 behind Extract sector. And this is where those hard tyres are going to be stronger than the used mediums. Cavalis 1.2 behind, but he's just got to make sure he doesn't make the same mistake in this final corner. Let's watch. Does he put 2 tyres on the grass? Not this time. He stays further towards the left and stays ahead as Enchilada really struggling now in the Ferrari. He's made another mistake by the looks of it. He's down to P8 and he's out of the DRS train as well. And even if Cavalis catches Extract here, I think Enchilada is struggling for pace around this circuit. He's struggling for everything. He's got so much older tyres than everyone else as well. That is not going to help, but he's making mistake after mistake in this race. And it's looking like the stars are aligning for Cavalis. For Extract rather, to win this title. Denko briefly got up to P4 but loses it again down towards turn 4. JB back into that 4th place, but now they are 1.5 behind Scott, who's caught back up to Cavalis. And Scott's now well and truly in this fight for the win, although a big lock of the rears there. Down into the right-hander is going to cost him quite a bit of time. He's now back out of DRS range again, but only briefly. We'll see if he can get back there again. But here comes Cavalis 1.1. Can he nail this final corner and get within DRS? He goes for it, gets on the throttle as early as he dares, but it's not quite enough. He's not got a lot of ERS left either. Extract's got plenty, so still advantage Mercedes at this point, but Cavalis is still hunting him down, and that second sector is where he's so much stronger. Can he get the tyres to work over the rest of the lap and get within range? If this is going to be the lap, I wouldn't be surprised. Denko, meanwhile, back up to 4th place. JB right behind him, though. He's going to have the DRS down to turn 4 again. It's going to be deja vu from the previous lap. JB to the inside of the Mercedes. He goes for it, but he has to back out. And now he's going to be under pressure from Jamie Dodger just behind. Jamie up the hill, down the inside, and gets it done. A wonderful move from the V-Carb driver. And he is back up to P5 now. JB down to 6th and struggling. He's got to make sure he gets that car under control and stops the chain mistakes. Is what's happening at the moment. But Denko up to 4th place. Under pressure from Jamie Dodger, but he's not within range of the top 3. 1.7. He needs something to happen up ahead. And Cavalis is not able to close in on this lap. He's still 1.1 behind. Xtrek still pushing as hard as he can to stay out of DRS range, but finally that gap ticks below 1 second, and if Cavalis can nail to the center S's here, he will be in DRS to turn 4. Xtrek down through turn 1. Can Cavalis get DRS here? I don't think he got it. I don't think so. He just was a bit too cautious through there as Jamie Dodger up to P4. Cavalis now 1.0 and Scott within half a second of the Williams. Cavalis running low on ERS. He needs to nail this middle sector. 9/10. It's so close to DRS. As soon as he opens that rear wing, you would think that it's game on. There's still 6.5 laps left to go. But Xtrek is just about holding on for now. Cavalis through the middle sector. Can he nail these slow speed corners and get within range? 8.5 tenths now as they go through the last part of the middle sector. 7 tenths. I think Cavalis has finally gotten the DRS from our race leader. He gets a couple of tires on the grass again to the final corner and loses a few tenths. How many times will he keep making that mistake, I wonder? But he does get the DRS, crucially, but so does Scott. And Scott wants to get past him. He's using the overtake button. Cavalis has worked tirelessly to get in DRS of Xtrek, but Scott snatches it off him right when he catches up, finally. And Scott absolutely robbing the Williams driver of P2 there. Cavalis is going to be back at him down to turn 4, but the DRS for the Aston Martin as well is going to mean that Cavalis has to settle for 3rd, and that is cruel. That is cruel but cold from Scott M89 in the Aston Martin. And Xtrek is in big trouble for this race win. He is in prime position to win the title, of course. That's going to be the main thing on his mind. But he will want to do it in style. He'll still want to win this race. But at the moment, he is under heavy pressure. Those mediums are going to get worse and worse over these last 5.5 laps. And he needs something to go wrong for the cars behind him, you would think, or he just needs to save ERS enough. But Scott's been saving too. He's 50% now in the battery. Cavalis is also up to 40%, so both of them in pretty bad spots for ERS a couple of laps ago, but not anymore, as Scott now uses the DRS to take the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix with 5 laps to go. Xtrek down to 2nd place. Denko back up to 4th as we got 2x2 behind. Triku getting past JB for 6th. Jamie Dodger still with that time penalty. What's it for? It's for pit lane speeding, so 10 seconds to him. Xtrek, meanwhile, a 10th behind Scott. They're all piling through turn 4. Cavalis right behind the Mercedes. So much more exit speed, but he can't take advantage. He has to sit behind again. But again, look at this through turn 6 and 7. Although Xtrek actually lagging quite a bit there. Lagging back ahead of him, so there's lag happening all over the shop. It's not just Ench today, who is meanwhile 1.6 off of the train ahead, 1.5 now, but it's slipping away. It is slowly but surely slipping away for Enchilada Dad, unless Xtrek gets into an incident here and crashes out of this race with a few laps to go. What drama that would be, but there's only 4 laps to go. It's running out of time for any drama in this one. Xtrek now ahead of Cavalis, but not ahead of Scott. He stays behind the Aston Martin for now. He wants to leave this to the final lap, as he always does. Xtrek with these kinds of situations, but he's got to be careful because Cavalis is looking to make the move. He doesn't want to be down to P3 here, Extrek, and he keeps position. He has to use a bit of ERS to hold on, but Cavalis is right behind him. He's pushing him practically through turn 4. Up the hill they go. And Cavalis a little wide through the right-hander, and that's going to cost him any opportunity for a dive bomb into the next corner. Denko still ahead of Jammy Dodger, Triku and JB in this fight. Enchilada closing them down as a result of all this fighting, so he's back in the fight for P4 as well, but after looking well and truly out of it. But Denko is going to have a big job on his hands to keep these guys behind, but Scott's also going to have a mighty job on his hands. Overtake being used by Extrek. He's going for it here earlier than you usually expect him to. Scott holds off on the overtake button, as does Cavalis. They're all going to sit behind each other on this occasion, I think. 3 laps to go in Tier 2 on F124, and it's Extrek in the driving seat. Jammy Dodger gets ahead of Denko. Triku tries to follow him, but backs out just before turn 2. It's a sensible yield from the Williams driver. JB in the mix as well. Yellow flags. What's happened? What's happened? Why have we got yellow flags? That's Avenir. Okay. It's the lapped car of Avenir getting out the way. Panic over, everyone. Anyway, Scott still leading this one from the Mercedes of Extrek. Cavalis needs to save some ERS to have a chance to win this race. He's certainly in the mix for his first ever podium in APP. He's in the driving seat for it, but he still wants to win this race. Extrek just wants to take home the title. Scott and Cavalis, though, hungry for their first win of the season. Jackalacco getting past Kurt further back for P11. He's had a horrible race, Jackalacco, by the way. He had to pit lap 1, and ever since he's been chasing from right at the back. But Scott leads into the penultimate lap of the year in Tier 2. Extrek stays behind, as does Cavalis. No moves being made, but the final lap is where it's all going to come alive, I would imagine. Enchilada still in with a shout if Extrek DNFs, but that's his only shot now. Jonathan and Tia swapping again further back. Enchilada with a 3-second time penalty. He's got to be careful not to lose position to Jonathan now, who's only 4.7 behind. But Scott leads. We've got to keep with these top 3, and we've got to keep an eye on P4 as well. Denko, Triku and JB right behind Jammy Dodger. I don't need this sumo right now. I'm trying to commentate on a championship finale with 2 laps to go. I do not need this. Scott leading this one with just 1.5 laps to go. Extrek on the medium tyres, but 21 laps old. They're going to be struggling through the middle part of the lap. They have been through these last 10 laps, but he's held on. He's given himself a shot, and here we go, down to turn 1 for the 36th time in this race. More yellow flags, but that's blue flags again. Extrek using the DRS, but not using ERS on this occasion. He wants to stay behind. He's got the most battery out of all of these top 3. Cavalis right behind. He's going to try and put the Mercedes under pressure. He's using that overtake button now through turn 3. He's going to have the DRS down towards turn 4. Cavalis going for it here on the Mercedes, but Extrek fends him off successfully with that added battery, but it has cost Extrek some battery there as they go through turn 4. Yes, I know, Sumo, I know. I watched it. But Scott now just in front. Extrek, does he go for the dive bomb? He does have a look, but he knows his best chance is DRS down to the line. Its time is running out for Enchilada Dad. He's down in P8. He needs something horrible to go wrong for Extrek now to win this title. Scott still in the lead. Cavalis right behind the Mercedes. He's going round the outside of the penultimate corner, but he can't quite get it done. Extrek breaks late, gets the perfect corner, and he's in prime position to take this race win with the championship. DRS open for Extrek. It's going to be a drag race to line. It's going to steal it off Scott by the looks of things. No, he loses out. Scott wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. What a drive from him, but it's Extrek. It rained right at the end, but far too late to have any bearing on the race. It's Extrek. He may have lost this race by 0.04 of a second, but the Norwegian driver wins the Season 16 Tier 2 Drivers' Championship. What a season it's been for Extrarec. Denko comes home P4. Cavalis gets his first ever podium in the league on the final race of F1 24. How good is that? Oh, what a race, what a season it has been. We'll still have interviews with the top three, so don't go away. I'll run you through the rest of the grid, of course. We'll let Scott have his moment, though, on the podium first. So, there we have it. The final race of Tier 2 in F1 24 ends with a victory for Scott in the Aston Martin. Extrarec falls short by 0.04 of a second, but in doing so wins the Tier 2 title. Cavalis gets his first ever podium in the league. Denko secures P4. He did everything he could for the constructors, but with Ferrari 7th and 10th, they have finally managed to secure a constructors title together, Enchilada and Tia, even if they missed out on the drivers. Triku Badayak in the top 5. Great drive from him as well. JB will be disappointed with 6th place in the end. Enchilada in P7 with Jonathan in 8th place with the fastest lap. After getting a drive-through at the beginning, Tia got a drive-through as well. He ends up 10th. Jamie Dodger 9th. And Jack Alacco, Alex G, Kurt Gary and Avenir make up the rest of the finishers, with Sumo unable to finish. Woof. Well, we won't be able to speak to Extrarec, of course, but we can definitely speak to Scott. I don't know about Cavalis. I'll invite him to the party and see, but we'll find out. We'll definitely get to speak to Scott. You did everything you could, Denko, but the points gap was just too much in the end. Ferrari have definitely secured it. I don't know about by how many points, but you basically needed them both to be right at the back. So they have managed to secure it, I'm afraid. But you had a great race, Denko. So congrats. It's yeah, like you said, not the ideal time to finally find your pace, but at least you had a good finale.
Hello?
We do have Scott. I don't know if we're going to have Cavalis. Let's see if we can find out. Alright, well, I don't know if we're going to get Cavalis, so we'll wait on him in the chat, but...
just me and you, mate.
Just me and you, Scott.
Oh, well, that's a chinwag. Put kettle on.
Oh, well, congratulations. First win of the season. It's been a tough old few seasons for you, the last couple seasons, but what a way to cap off F124 with a win by 400ths from the new three-time Tier 2 champion. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel kind of... When I looked at the calendar, I looked at all them tracks, and I looked at Brazil, and I thought that's the only one where I could probably do something. But yeah, it feels great. Do you know what, like, with Extra, I know he's been involved in incidents with other people and everything, but whenever I race Extra Rec, it's always really good and really clean, and as it was today. And it was a great fight. Heart were pumping. And I genuinely don't know how he kept their mediums so close to me towards the end. I thought, as soon as he got between me and Cavalis, I thought, I've done it, I've got it in the bag, but he wouldn't go away. Fun, a lot of fun.
It did look like a lot of fun. Cavalis was there with you as well. It was, I think, one of the coldest moments of the season was after Cavalis spent about 15 laps slowly chipping away at the gap to Xtrek, and on his own pulling away from everyone else, and then just as he finally gets there, you get him into turn 1 and get P2 and give yourself the best chance of winning. So I mean, was that the plan? Like, once you saw the gap coming down, where did you find the pace from as well? I mean, that whole situation was just so crazy. So talk us through it.
I mean, the start, I got off a pretty lucky start, to be honest. I mean, let's have it right. I mean, P1 and P2, was it whoever in front of me got drive-throughs anyway. And then, but yeah, so I felt all right. I was just chipping away, just putting the laps together, not really fighting. And then I pitted, and then I saw Extrek pit first, and I thought, he's going to get a monumental undercut here. And then me and Cavalis, and I suspected he were going to pit, but I thought I'll stay out because in case of a safety car, it's only one lap, and who knows what happens when people come out of the pit lane? Anything can bloody happen. And then, but yeah, there was a bit of traffic, and then I found myself probably between a 1 second and 2 seconds behind him, maybe a bit more, I don't know. And then I thought I'll just chill, like just find my rhythm, find where the throttle goes, find where to turn, and then like save energy as well. It's really tough. It's because you need as much energy as possible on that last straight, and going down to turn 4. So I'm saving all through sector 2. I'm just in none all the way through. So I found it hard to kind of catch throughout sector 2. He was kind of pulling the gap, but then I just kind of burnt. I saved up quite a bit of energy. I thought, right, enough's enough now. And I noticed, I thought as soon as he gets up the back of Exterrec, I thought he's going to have DRS, which is going to make my job a whole lot worse and a lot harder kind of thing. And then I thought I just went for it. I thought if I didn't do it then, I don't know if I would have done it. So I spent, I don't even know, like you said, 10 laps saving energy, kind of building myself up to it, and then I went for it, pedal to the metal.
And it worked out perfectly. It resulted in a race win. I mean, I don't know if you've been part of the F125 beta. I don't believe so, right?
No, I haven't. No, I did it. I think the first time I did it was F123, and it was monumentally different, the beta, from the actual game. So I thought, well, this is a pointless exercise, to be honest. And so no, I'll just get the game when it comes out. It's some GP, and where you can use flashbacks and.
Me too. I'll be doing the same. But I mean, does this? I mean, it's the perfect way to end a game cycle. Do you think this will give you some confidence going into the new game, or completely clean slate after the bad couple seasons, and just mark this as the highlight?
I'm I'm not going into the new game over optimistic, Ghost. I'm not going to lie, mate. It's I prefer it. I've tried putting the racing line on the last couple of weeks, and if anything, it makes it worse for me. And I'm happy kind of excelling at tracks that I enjoy and failing miserably at tracks that I can't kind of get the hang of. So I'll just be here or thereabouts, maybe a few podiums. I think I'm lucky to get a win. I think if Extra put the hards on, I think he would have won that race. But on tracks that I enjoy, I'm happy picking up the pieces when people make errors in strategy.
Absolutely. Well, you certainly did that today. I think that's a harsh way of putting it. Even you were simply the best driver on the track today. So congratulations. It's great to see you back at the top.
Cheers, Ghost. GG to Cavalis as well.
Yes,
Cavalis was there all around. It was great. It was great battling him. I don't think I've battled him yet. But it was all clean. Him, Extra, and Joe. I think I overtook Joe as well at some point. And yeah, and Kurt's asked for a shout out as well. I just said I'd say his name, so there you go.
Absolutely. Good to have Kurt in the league this season.
Surprised he's not in the chat, to be honest.
Yeah, it was Cavalis's first ever podium in the league as well. I don't know if you knew that.
No, congrats.
Yeah, after about fourth places this season. So
deserved it though. I mean, him and Triku have kind of hit the ground running this season, and I'm quite surprised that's his first one, to be honest. Yeah, no, they really have. They emerged as the sort of dark horses for the constructors early on.
And they've been strong ever since. You know, they've had their ups and downs, but they've always been there or thereabouts. So Triku and Cavalis definitely ones to watch for next season. A quick message from Extrek. He's put in the chat a bit of a closing message for you all. He says, it was a really good season. There are a lot of great battles this year. There are also a few setbacks like Monaco and Portugal, where I wasn't able to score good points. I'm happy to have won my third title. I fought for it. Last season I didn't make it and lost by just 1 point, but this season I proved once again that I can race well. Big thanks to my teammate too, even though it wasn't his best season, but health and family come first. Hopefully next season we can fight for another title together. Thank you, Ench, for the great battles. You're my biggest rival, and it's always a thrill to race against you, even if not always safely. I'm not sure what he means by that. He says, once again, thank you all for this season. See you next time. Let's go. So thank you for that.
I'm sure he's referencing his Wi-Fi there.
Maybe, yeah. Thank you for that message from Extra. Congratulations to him for securing his third title. And yeah, him and Enchilada have been the sort of the main characters in Tier 2 the last 4 seasons. So we'll see if it continues that way into F1 25. But for now, thank you all so much for watching all season long. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate on Tier 2 as always. And I've really enjoyed it. And every race has been spectacular, pretty much. I honestly cannot think of a single dud in the last 2 seasons. So it's been brilliant to watch, brilliant to be a part of, and thank you to all our drivers and to everyone who helps make the league what it is. JB especially hosting every lobby, getting everyone in, and making thumbnails for the check-in posts as well, and managing social media. He is an absolute gem. So huge shout out to JB, and to all our drivers for making Tier 2 the great league that it is. So thank you all ever so much. We will be back. I'm not exactly sure when. It will be at least a month before Tier 2 gets started again. I think probably the second week of July is what we're looking at. So keep an eye out for that. We will have the Sprint Championship in the meantime, which everyone is welcome to join in on. And there'll be a bit of a different point system with it to allow people to have a chance at the championship, even if they can't make Tuesdays and Fridays. It will be back to the old days of F1 where we only score the top X results. Look, keep a lookout for that. I don't know if it will be commentated, but I will certainly be racing in it. I don't know if my connection is going to be good enough to stream, but plenty of others will be streaming, I'm sure. Oh, well, this looks like a cool league. Then feel free to join in. If you need a link, there is one in
ESRL.
In ESRL, yeah. You can find it there as well. But thank you all so much for watching. I have been Ghost, and it has been an absolute pleasure. Have a lovely rest of your sort of ending to spring into summer, and we'll see you all in about a month and a few weeks' time. So thank you all so much. I'll see you later.